Hey guys, what is cracking? It's Krakenation coming at you guys with your Week 3 Draft Classic. It's Krakenation coming at you guys with your Week 3 Draft Classic Power Rankings, guys. First, real quick, an apology for getting this out a day late. Unfortunately, it was a very, very long, very stressful yesterday for me, which is usually the day that I end up recording. I had a lot to do on my day off, so I unfortunately was not able to get to the recording of this video, but hopefully I can make up for it today. So right off the bat, we're going to go into our Week 3 rankings. Now again, these are my subjective rankings. The list is fluid, as Stephen A. always says. So just be aware that just because you may not be where you want to be right now does not mean you couldn't be there in the future with some good performances. Also, if you are in a pretty high up in this list right now, remember that it could very easily vanish if you don't play up to par. I think we're at the point in the season where, the lay of the land is starting to take shape. We're starting to see who our top contenders are, who's in the playoff hunt, who's maybe looking outside of the playoff bubble, looking to try to scratch and claw their way in. One final note, unfortunately, guys, we had a couple forfeit games this week. I was really disappointed to see that. This is genuinely it's only Week 3. I'm pretty disappointed to see this many forfeits going on. So if you got a forfeit this season, please try to avoid that in the future. I will definitely not look favorably on that in the future if I find that out, that if I see that in the future, I might not want to have you back in because I'm getting pretty tired of these. So that's my serious bit right there. So we're going to blast through the forfeit loss here. Number 16, Potown Nicket, forfeit loss. You don't get to be talked about this week. Number 15, Buffalo Sound Pickle Nugget, forfeit loss. You don't get to get talked about this week. Number 14, District Armanitans, forfeit. I think this actually might have been a forfeit win. No, forfeit loss. You don't get to get talked about this week. And Detroit Fletchlings, Jiggly Pigs, forfeit win. Not Jiggly Pigs' fault per se, but I'm not gonna look too favorably upon that. I think actually a couple of these teams got double forfeit loss because neither really tried. So yeah, sorry Jiggly Pigs. I'm sure you would have had a great week. But as it stands, I'm glad to see that you at least are not at the bottom here, absolutely, and you got a win here from forfeit one way or another. Coming in at number 12, we got the North York Yampers, coached by Iceman Lewis. Made some plays and switches that got predicted pretty hard throughout the game. Definitely feel like this could have been a game that could have very easily gone differently if Iceman had tried to not play so predictably. Unfortunately, that'll always put you in a bit of a tough spot, and just kind of had a really hard time coming back after that. He did a good job keeping up some offensive pressure with Terrakion through the game, but he was playing a really good opponent in Noah, so that's always going to go pretty badly overall for anyone. So just unfortunately kind of got outplayed there. And a touch of hacks go against him that likely affected the differential later on in the match. I'm trying to remember exactly what that was. It was I think it was with the Gyarados, the flinch, yeah. So the hacks probably may have affected the differential later on there. There was also, I think, another moment that I'm forgetting right now, but might have cost some differential. Don't think it would have affected the overall match. I think overall I'd like to see some just more reliable play here. I know it's kind of easy to say that now. He tried to make some hard predictions playing against the opponent. It's probably a little more experienced than him, so I don't want to take too much from that, crap on him too much for that, because you got to try to punch above your weight class. You might try to make some predictions and reads, but I think he just kind of played into Noah's hands a little too much. But definitely think this team, obviously 1 and 2 here, so by no means out of the playoff hunt. If you rattle off a few wins here, and this team's right back in the thick of it. Coming in at number 11, we got Resort City Marshalls, coached by Free, another team that unfortunately took a loss this week. Started off having to play very, very off the back foot in the beginning. I think Free can try to do a better job with lead matchups. I feel like that could go a really long way because Free just keeps putting himself in a situation where right off the rip in these games, he's just the lead matchup is just not ideal. This time around, he started against Zarud with a Rabambi, which, isn't actually technically a terrible lead matchup, but then he didn't have U-turn, and he just kind of went hard into Rillaboom. So even when he wins the lead matchup, he doesn't seem to have the move to punish that. So I would like to see, if you're going to lead Rabambi, I'd like to see you hopefully have a way to punish whatever your opponent's going to do, because it looked like he won the lead matchup, and then he just ended up getting U-turned on his Rillaboom, which was, I don't know, I felt a little obvious almost, and kind of just put him on the back foot early. That's going to be really hard. So he needs to figure out how to stop letting these key threats get weakened early, because I just talked about, Rillaboom took a U-turn to start the battle. Big chunk of health, gone. And then I think it was Lycanroc Dusk then took a bunch of damage. Boom, big health gone. Then Rillaboom comes in. Boom, big health gone. All of a sudden, 2 of your top offensive Pokemon probably on this team are really heavily weakened. And then Ribombee gets down, set up sticky webs, but like didn't really try to do a whole lot. And the other thing I want to talk about is I think Free puts himself in a situation where he sets up too early and too often. And he needs to find better opportunities to set up and when to do it where his team will do it. Like he tried to set up this really cool Mew set with like weakness policy and stuff, but it just kind of got Shrek'd. Like this thing didn't do anything and then it switched out, which was a recurrent theme earlier where I think earlier this season he tried to set up a really cool Rillaboom set with the grassy seed, and then it just didn't go anywhere. So I just want to see these sets he's coming up with be better utilized. So I don't necessarily think these are bad sets, but he's just trying to do it too early, too often, not at the right moment. And I think his windows, if he could figure out exactly when those were, could go a very, very long way. Coming up at number 10, we've got Nashville Needle Kings, coached by Ant. Ant is 0-3, but I think he played really, really well this week, so I wanted to give him huge props. Definitely had a hard-fought loss to Jatoon, so huge props. Dude played really, really well. I think if I can talk about some things that he can improve on, because I think he actually played this match very well for Ant. I was very impressed, so good job to him. He played really tough, but he got whittled down over time, so he might have been better served with more offensive pressure. He kind of tried to play this game. He's got this good defensive backbone on his team, things like Umbreon, Skarmory, and Amoonguss. But I think if he's going to play these long games with those Pokemon, he needs to be dedicated to that strategy, or he needs to switch to the wall-breaking strategy with things like Gengar and Medicham, because he's kind of playing half both, and that doesn't seem to be something that can work. Seems to be working for Ant right now. So I'd really like to see him either, focus on the good defense or focus on the good offense. I think this team would be much better served actually focusing on offense with a defensive backbone that kind of works as he needs it, which I think Ant could do. I think he's got the skill. He showed it in this match. He just needs to, again, kind of like Free, find his offensive windows to bring in Gengar, bring in Medicham, click attacks, click middle ground attacks that will do heavy damage to a wide variety of threats. Utilize those a little better. I think this team could go very, very far. Now, the only reason I didn't move him even higher, even though we lost, he's 0-3, but I think he's played some pretty good games. I think some suboptimal press, like the Amoonguss item was, like, whack. Ant, figure that out, dude. Don't get lazy. Put a better item on your stuff. So next up we got Cincinnati Explosion, coached by 15 Cha-Cha, was woefully underprepared for Latios and then didn't play well around it, sorry, is what I meant to say. So if you're going to both not prep well for a Pokemon, because let's say you just don't have the matchup for it, and so you're going to have to rely on outplaying that Pokemon, fine. Sometimes it do be like that though, but if you're going to not play around it either, now you're going to get deducted a lot of points on the power rankings. I think overall just seemed to play pretty recklessly, letting Pokemon like Mega Absol that could have been really key offensive threats for him, get whittled down earlier than they needed to be. I think moving forward, this can definitely be a team that can improve. We've seen some huge wins before. Seems to be a team that's kind of swinging either way. Big win, big loss, big win, kind of like that. But I think being mindful of how your opponent is trying to win the game, and therefore, I'm implying that it's his sweepers, and then keeping the mons that you need to keep healthy to counter those things, or whatever your way of beating Latios setting up on your butt is, make sure you don't give up on that halfway through the game. Because if your way of beating the Latios is probably a Mega Absol or something like that, and you give up on Mega Absol really early, you're going to have a bad day. So that's my advice there. I think just try to keep up the threats. Keep in mind, I should say, your opponent's threats. I think good players execute their game plans well. Great players play around their opponent's win conditions at the same time. And so I think I would love to see that next step from 15 Cha-Cha. Coming in at number 8 here, we got Jatoon, coach of the Vancouver Golducks. I think he played really, really well. This was a really long, hard-fought match. Probably my favorite match of the week between him and Ant. Just really, really grinded it out. I thought he showed some really, really cool prep with things like SmackDown Landers. And this is a team that obviously quickly rose in the power rankings here, but I think could rise even more very quickly. He uses wall breaks at really good moments, but I think he could have even pushed the offense more in prep. This is obviously a super offensive team, but this ended up being a very grinded out kind of game. So I think he's got to be very careful about trying to, in the future, do a good job utilizing his offenses that this team is built for a little more effectively. So I think with that in mind, really good game, but like all I'm trying to get at is this is an offensive team. He shouldn't be trying to play these grinded out defensive slugfests. So that's my 2 cents there. But if you're gonna have to do it, at least he come out with a W. So credit to that. Next up, we've got the Ottawa Lampens, coached by Word. Tried to shift. Now, Word unfortunately took an L this week, but overall, I still have a lot of faith in this team for sure. Tried to shift momentum in the game that was quickly getting away, so credit to that. Worked really hard to try to set up some offense, but again, kind of like Free, I thought Word did a little bit of a weird job setting up at times where like was not going to be functional. Now, of course, he was playing against a very, very tough opponent in Inverse, so I don't want to take too much credit. And Inverse just kind of took him to the spank bank a little bit, so I feel bad. But like this, the Scalpede setting up that early when it didn't seem to have a way to hit Landers anyways, and clicking sub when it didn't have a way to hit Landers anyways, kind of the same as Free. Like, I get what you're doing, but why are you doing it is what I'm asking. And I think just, trying to keep in mind that, you want to make sure if you're going to try to go for a sweep, there's got to be some world in which this sweep works, right? Like, even if it's a mid-game sweep and you need to at least be able to punch a hole in the second mon that comes in, and he couldn't do that. He couldn't even punch a hole in the first mon that came in. So keep that in mind. But again, this is a really good team. I think a team that's shown that it can play well, and I would not be shocked to see if these guys played again in the playoffs later on down the line. All right, so coming in at number 6 now, we're getting to our top 6. We've got the Seattle Ciggy Lift, coached by Dashing Septile. Another 6-0 season, baby. You gotta love to see it. Executed a really, really awesome Latios sweep, like I was talking about earlier. Took advantage of Chacha's mistakes in prep. That's always going to be good to see. He kind of just took advantage of the fact that Chacha did not seem to prepare nearly enough for this Latios. And I don't know why I wrote Greats instead of Gates, but I apparently am I am illiterate. So he came out of the gates a little rough, but quickly recovered and gained back momentum. So that's always nice to see. Sometimes the game is not going to go out the way you want it to right off the bat, but he clearly recovered considering he got the 6-0. Just really good execution of a win condition here. Quickly understanding the fact that, man, my opponent just let his best threat to my Latios sweep in Mega Absol go down. Time to absolutely just destroy this thing. So good job there. Looking at the Castelias Shifus, coached by Destiny, I just was really impressed by this team overall. Did a terrific job getting on the front foot early in the fight. Kind of just took absolute control of this game. Free really had a tough time, as we saw, ever getting back into the fight after it started. So keeping up the offensive pressure just like on Free like that never gave Free a chance to get back in. And what was really impressive here was like Girder put in such an awesome amount of work for a low tier Pokemon. You gotta love to see that. Really good big props there to Destiny. He really showed that, if you can show that like the Girder and the Sableye and the Rapidash on my team are Pokemon you need to prep for, your team just got that much more scary, because on an average week your opponent needs to bring that many more options for those Pokemon. And when they do that, they're not focusing on the Garchomp and the Jirachi and the Mega Blastoise and the Zapdos as much, because they can't. So I really like to see these low-tier Pokemon put in fine work like Girder did in this match. Huge props to that. Good job. And this is a team I'm expecting to go very far, rising up in the power rankings, as we can see this week. Coming on to my boy Dan, I felt really, really bad about this one. Dan played a very tough game where both teams were making hard reads. Both teams played well, and Dan was in the driver's seat with a mid-game sweep with Halucha that went a long way towards bringing the game back. But he got absolutely tragic. He got crit, so he for Empoleon to kill, I believe it was it Miss Mages? I don't remember. I think it was Miss Mages. But for Empoleon to kill, it needed to get a crit max roll. And he got it. And I felt so bad because it probably cost Dan the game, almost certainly. And so I didn't deduct too much from his power rankings. Now, obviously, you can say, put yourself in situations where hacks won't matter, but you can only do so much. He got, I think it was Torrent max crit roll. Brutal. Absolutely brutal, but I don't expect this team to go anywhere. This team's going to win some more games. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. Coming in at number 3, we got the Glaciers, coached by Unit 97. Really well-fought victory. So I was really impressed by just overall how well both these teams played, him and Dan. So this was an awesome match to see. Kept up with the offensive pace of the match through the game and made key reads and sacrifices as needed, like I talked about. Being able to know when this Pokemon is no longer useful, I'm going to sack it, or I'm going to let it die in here, maybe get some more chip off, and then go to my next threat, was very awesome. But the reason I didn't move him up, because he did beat the number 2 team, but the reason I didn't move him up was because he won off a pretty crucial hacks turn. So I don't want to deduct because I think he played well, but I felt comfortable leading him exactly where he was, because I do think other people also played well, and their games did not come down quite as much to hacks. Although looking at number 2 is the Strokefish, coached by Chicago Bewares. He did get a little bit of hacks in his favor, but I think he was overall in the driver's seat of this match. He made dominant read after dominant read throughout the entirety of the game. I was very impressed. He effectively executed a really great late game sweep with Gyarados, just dismantled his opponent's team. Really good job there. And I'm really excited to see what Noah does here for the rest of the season. He played. He only lost was when he played Inverse in week 1. And so now he seems to be carrying some momentum, and I think I would not be shocked to see him have to play number 1, the reigning champ, or I should say reigning number 1 ranked player, and man, is he still on top? Yes, he is. It's 6-0 season, baby. Inversify, coach of the Air Force Corp Knights, remains on top. Not much to say here. He put the hurt on a very, very solid opponent in Word. He just absolutely took this dude to Pound Town. Downtown, Pound Town, one might even say. Stayed calm in the face of opposing hacks and just kept the pressure up, made winning plays. This is what you want to see from your number 1 ranked team. Absolutely balled out. Not much to say here. Number 1, king stays king. So, guys, let me know what you guys thought about your power rankings this week. Let me know if you guys disagree, agree, what you thought. Hopefully we can see some more great matches. Hopefully we can see less forfeits. I'm just disappointed in the people that did. Please try to avoid that if you can. Until next time, I will see all of you guys later. Krakenation out.